What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do 3 looks with a palette that, again, wow, big surprise, I'm very excited about. This is the Rust palette from Melt Cosmetics. Melt had a Rust stack that came out. If you're not familiar, the Melt Cosmetics stacks look like this. They're a little bit smaller, but they're just individual magnetized shades that go in a little stack. They, I believe, discontinued the Rust stack and replaced it with this Rust palette, which has more shades on the inside. What is happening? There we go. So this is what the Rust palette looks like on the inside. I am planning on doing 3 looks with it today. This is the first one. I also bought the whole Rust collection, which included a new gel eyeliner and 2 existing lipsticks. So I'm going to use those as many times as I can, as many times as I see fit in the looks as we go through. And at the end, I'll let you know my thoughts on all of it. I'll timestamp everything in the description. I'll list every product in the description. Everything you ever needed to know about this video is in the friggin' description, except usually if you want to know about my nails, I actually list that on my Instagram story. It's saved in a highlight. So before we get into it, don't forget to leave a like on this video because it's very helpful to me. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're anything like me, lighthearted content is like the only thing tethering your sanity together right now with everything that's going on around us. And I would be honored to have you here like back on a regular basis to like hang out and just like unwind a little bit together. I think that'd be great. And anything else you ever want to know, you could just always leave me a comment and I'm really, really good about getting back to them. So with that all out of the way, let's just get into look number 1 with the new Melt Rust eyeshadow palette, which I can't open, but here it is. There we go. Let's get into it. So to start the first look, I'm going to go into the shade Antique. I'm going to use that as a soft transition shade right in the crease. I may need to use something darker than this, but I think this will be a good start. So I'm using that on a BH number 6, and I'm just softly blending that through the crease and up toward my brow. This color looks a little bit, ooh, you know what? You guys are too far away. Let's zoom in so you can really see what I'm about to describe to you. This color looks like a perfectly steeped cup of Irish tea. If you know anything about me, that's one of my favorite things in the world. I love a really, really strong cup of Irish tea with just like a little splash of milk. Specifically, it has to be either Barry's or Typhoo brand. I know Typhoo's British, but it's the same style of tea. So I'm bringing that delicious cup of tea right up to almost at my brow, especially on the inner side. I'm gonna bring that up real high. Why? I don't know. I just feel like it. And I just also feel like there are just no rules to life right now, if I'm being entirely honest. This brush is stained, but clean, just FYI. Next, I'm gonna go into the shade Rubbish, and I'm gonna use that to deepen that a little bit on a MAC 221S. I'm just gonna bring that through the more direct crease area, blend it into Antique. I'm gonna deepen this up even further, but I want it to be a nice soft gradient, you know? Those two didn't seem like they were gonna blend together that well, just like by looking at them, but they blended beautifully. And on a Sigma E36, I'm gonna go into the shade Rust and continue that gradient, just making it deeper and deeper and deeper as we get to the more center portion of the crease. I don't know what I'm doing with the shape on this outer corner yet, so I'm just kind of like leaving it. I'm just not addressing it yet. I'm gonna grab my NABLA cut crease brush and a little bit of concealer and give myself a little bit of empty space on the inner corner. Just tap the end of that out with my finger. That was like the simplest cut crease of my life. I just did that like, you know, in one motion. Who am I? How did I do that? On my MAC 242 brush, just a nice flat dense brush, I'm going to go into the shade Classic, which is a nice bright like off-white cream shade. I'm going to put that over where we put that concealer. Ooh, damn, that is bright. Oh, that's going to look good. And tap over the end of that with the brush we used to put down Antique. On a LUXE 141 Mini, I'm going to go into the shade Erode, and I'm going to use that on the inner corner just to like add a little bit of a pop of color, a little something. It's not necessarily going to be a highlight because it's not really a highlight level shade, you know, it's not that bright, but I just want a little something more in there, a little something extra, little mac and cheese on my plate, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna grab a small angle brush and the gel liner that came in this collection. This is the color Burnish. This is so satisfying to look at in this jar that I almost don't want to touch it, but you know what? It's gotta go on our eye, otherwise what the fuck did I buy it for? These are like the softest gel liners ever, by the way, which I like because it gives them a little bit more movement and it makes it easier to apply, in my opinion. I just made sure both sides of the brush were coated by like tapping it into the cap. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna draw on a wig with that shit. Okay, not gonna lie, I kind of love that. For the lower lashes, I concealed and powdered and all that, so we're good to go there. I think what I'm going to do is take this same gel liner, and I think I'm gonna bring this through my waterline and also smudge it out under my lash line, like as as what I'm putting on the bottom of my eye. Why can't I form words right now? This has been a long week. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of that gel liner on a Sigma E36 wing liner brush, and I'm gonna use that to put it right through my waterline. Sometimes I forget that you can use gel liner in your waterline, and then I remember and I'm like, yeah, that works good. And I'm gonna drag a little of it through my lower lashes as well, and then real quick, I'm gonna blend it out with a brush. Now that I've poked myself in the eye 17 different times and Barber is definitely coming for me, I'm gonna go back into that yellow shade Erode on the same brush and just add a little bit more of it back into the corner, because I covered a lot of it up with my concealer, and also I just want to bring a little bit more of it under the lower lashes. All right, I put on House of Blush's Iconic Luxe and I finished up my skin the usual, you know the drill. This collection also included 2 lipsticks, one in the shade Mural, which is kind of like a very orangey, yellowy nude, and the shade 1969, which is similar but more peachy. So to pair with this look, I'm going to grab the NABLA Body Language pencil, and I'm going to fill in with 1969, which is the more peachy of those 2 tones, because I think that'll go well with this look. I don't want to play too much yellow into it with the yellow inner corner, so that way it still pops. And this is the first look. For look number 2, I'm going to start by going directly into the shade Rust. Instead of using a transition shade, I'm going to go right into something a little bit deeper. This look of the 3, I want it to be a little bit more of like the grunge feel, because I feel like this palette has a little bit of like a grungy aesthetic to it. It just makes sense. Just want to dip my toe into that theme. So I'm going to take my BH number 6 and I'm going to take that shade and I'm going to put it in the outer portion of my crease, just pack it in there, and I'm going to do the same thing on the inner side. Oh, that color packs quite a punch. I'm going to take my BH number 7, which is also a blending brush, but it's a little smaller, and I'm going to use that in circular motions to blend out the edge of that so that I could kind of control how far I bring that and not let it get too crazy. So this is like the most random topic change of all time, but you know what? Fuck it. So I recently got a hamster for the first time in a long time, and I love him with my whole entire heart. However, he is still pretty scared of me, and I was wondering if any of you guys out there have hamsters. I know a few of you do because we've definitely discussed it before. I would love to know if you have any tricks on how to make your hamster a little bit more like comfortable around you and less afraid, because I would love to be able to get him out of his cage and put him in his ball so he can like play and stuff without scaring him every time. I feel like that would be ideal. I'm going to take that number 7 brush, I'm going to go back into Rust again, and I'm going to continue that shade down onto the lid all the way to the lash line. On a MAC 221 brush, I'm going to go into the shade Rot Squared. We use that to deepen up the corners of the eye. It's like almost a black shade, but not quite. I'm just using that in little tiny circular motions toward the end to make sure that we don't spread it too far. I'm going to put some of that on the inner corner too. And on that same brush, I'm going to go into the shade Mar, which is kind of like between those 2 shades, and just use that to soften the difference between the 2 of them and just make the blend a little bit more smooth. So you may notice we have this little center portion open here. I want to put a metallic shade there, but to make sure that metallic shade pops a bit, I'm going to pop a little bit of concealer right in the center and tap that in with my finger. That way it gives us a brighter base underneath and like cleans up any of the other eyeshadows that we may have gotten on the area, but also makes it a little bit more sticky, which often helps when you want like a bright metallic shade to pop. So I'm gonna grab a MAC 217 brush. I'm gonna go into the shade Redux, and I'm gonna use that right along the edge of where we put down that concealer and bringing it up right about to the crease. Ooh, that's pretty. On the other side as well. And then I'm gonna go into the shade Tarnish, and I'm gonna actually just pick Tarnish up on my finger and pop it right in the center of that. And with Tarnish, I'm gonna bring it up past the crease all the way up to the top of where we put that concealer down. Almost give it like a little bit of a Harlequin point, but nothing like super extreme. Then I'm gonna pick up my BH number 7 again. I'm gonna use that to blend the crease color into that bronze shade we put down in the center. And on my MAC 221 brush, I'm gonna go back into Rust, and I'm gonna use that to blend the edges of those darker matte shades into the shimmers that we put on the lids. So, wait, let's address the elephant in the room. I concealed and put down quite a bit of powder. I didn't see a ton of fallout with these shadows yet, but there was a little tiny bit, and they are very dark, or at least the ones we're using, so I wanted to make sure so that we don't have a mess on our hands. For the waterline, I'm going to use the Urban Decay pencil in the color Lucky. This is a nice copper shade, and I think it's going to go along well with everything we're doing here. I'm going to run that through my waterline. And for the lower lashes, basically what we want to do is repeat the same structure on the bottom as what we did on the top. So again, I'm going to start with the shade Rust, but because we're working on the lower lash line, I'm going to use a smaller brush. So I'm going to use a MAC 219S pencil brush. Just going to push a little bit of that under the outer corner. Just bring it out here so that shape makes sense, because can you imagine if we just didn't do that on the bottom, how crazy that would look? I'm going to use a BH number 7 brush to blend the edge of that out and soften it and adjust the shape a little bit if we need to. On a NABLA lash line smudger brush, I'm going to go into Rot Squared, and I'm going to push that into the lower lashes, right where we put that rushed shade down. I cleaned off that lash line smudger brush, and I'm going to go right into the shade Tarnish. I'm going to skip going into Redux because it's a smaller area and there's not as much space to fit these shimmers, so I just want to get the more prominent like pop of brightness one down, if that makes sense. So it's going to push that right in the center where we still have some space left there. So for me, I actually like having a dark inner corner on a look like this. I don't find it to be unflattering on my eye shape, but if you're somebody who feels like if you have a dark inner corner, it makes you look like tired, or it makes you look like you have a black eye, if it just doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you do this exact look and then just go over the inner corner in that one little spot with a shimmer, and that will like bring it forward a little bit and brighten it up, but you'll still have like the connected dark effect if that's what you're going for. House of Lashes, iconic Luxe, finish the skin. That's all I have to say. I don't know why I felt like I had more to say, and then I was like, what else? And then it was nothing. I'm going to add a lip, and the color combination that I'm using for this one is the COLOURPOP Lippy Pencil in the color Bumble. And an old favorite, this is the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick from the Desi Katie Friendcation collection in the shade My Main. Warm, not quite rusty tones, but pairs well with a rusty tone, like the way a Cabernet pairs with a nice steak. I don't even know if that's a thing that pairs together, but I would certainly have them together, so I guess it does. And this is the second look. Last look, I'm going to start with the color Erode. I'm going to use this as our crease shade, and I'm going to put it on generously because I don't want this color to get lost in the rest of the look. I want it to be very, very clear that it's blending out into a yellow. So I'm putting that in the crease, but I'm bringing it up real high. I'm going to take my BH number 7, and I'm going to go into the shade Rust, and I'm going to use that to deepen up the crease a little bit. One thing I'm really appreciating about this palette so far, besides the fact that all the shadows are working really nicely, is that it seems like even the colors that seem pretty far from each other as far as undertones or how deep they are, they seem to blend together pretty easily. Like a lot of times it might be really difficult to blend a yellow into like a reddish brown, but not today. They all just mesh together real nice. On my Sigma E36, I'm going to go into the shade Mar. I'm going to deepen that even more, keeping it a little higher this time, just making sure we extend the height of that natural crease just a smidgeroo. Just a little schlumpkin. No, that's not a word. I cannot even tell you guys, by the way, how much I am tempted to name all of these looks and call one of them Rusty Trombone. But you know what? I'm not going to do it because I'm mature and I'm not going to. But I want to. Just for some added fun, I'm going to go into that gel liner called Burnish again. I'm going to pick some of it up on a NABLA dab and smudge brush, and I'm going to use that as a base on the lid, but only on the outer and inner corner of the eye. If you hear some squeaking in the background, Charlie's going crazy with the toy downstairs. The outer corner over here doesn't look so hot. I'm going to clean it up after. For some reason, I have a tendency when I dab on like a gel liner as a base to get the outer corner wrong, but it's okay. Like I said in the last video, it's so easy to clean it up. I bet you know what we're going to do next. You guessed it already. Cut crease brush, concealer. Let's clean up this center a little bit, shall we? This is going to right into the center, create a little bit of a cut, and bring it down onto the lid. I'm going to pick up my MAC 242S brush and I'm going to go into the shade Classic. I'm going to put that at the top portion, but only the top portion of that cut. Cleaning off that same brush, I'm going to go back into the shade Erode. I'm really leaning into the yellows in this one. And I'm going to put that over the remainder of that concealer area. Then grabbing my Sigma E36, going into the shade Mar, just to kind of tap over the edges and blend those shades back into the darker shades surrounding. I concealed and powdered again, and we're ready to start working on the lower lash line. I don't even really know where I want to go with the lower lash line on this one. Pretty sure I actually already used every shade in here, so there's not one that I feel like, ooh, I have to get in there. Ooh, nope, that's not true. It's not true. We have not used the shade Ravage yet, have we? Did we? I don't think we did. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that one. A little shimmer on the lower lash line moment. So I'm going to pick that up on a clean pencil brush. I'm going to sweep it under the whole lower lash line, and then when I get out here to the corner, I'm going to switch over to the shade Wrought Squared so I can blend that out into the outer corner shade. Blend the edge of that with a clean brush, and grab a little bit of Wrought Squared on that Sigma E36 and sweep it up to meet the top. Make it all make sense. For the waterline, I want to brighten things up a little bit, so I'm going to grab my Benefit Roller Eye Bright. I'm going to run that right through my waterline. And on a LUXE 141, I'm going to go into the shade Tarnish. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on the inner corner just to maybe add a little bit of metallicness there and brighten it up just a touch. All right, I finished up my skin and put on my House of Lashes Siren Flares, and we are ready for a lip with this one too. So I'm going to use the other lipstick that came with this collection. This is the color Mural, which is also like, it's kind of got like an orangey, little bit of a yellowy undertone to it. Not so much yellow as I thought, but I remember the last time I wore this, because I already own this one, that it did have a bit of like a warm tone to it on the lip for sure. I'm gonna counterbalance that by lining my lips with the Melt lip pencil in the color Foxy. It kind of just gives it like that cool girl vibe no matter what you mix it with, so that's the plan. And this is the third look. Okay, so now that we are finished with the 3 looks, what do I think of this collection in general? I have to say, overall, I don't think I can find a single complaint with this collection. I love the gel liner. Burgundy is one of my favorite colors and it works really well. It's super smooth. It was easy to use. It wore really well. I kept that look on all day yesterday and it was absolutely fine. The lipsticks are the same as the other Melt matte lipsticks. I actually already own the color Mural, so there were no surprises there. I liked both of the shades, and they are mattes, so they're not always the juiciest, but in spite of the fact that my lips are like the driest they've ever been in my life right now, I don't know why, they've just been acting up lately. It still didn't really look like it was like pulling or sitting on top of that dryness in a bad way, which is very, very nice in a matte lip formula. I like them both, and quite frankly, I really liked the way my lips looked both today and yesterday. And for the most important piece of this puzzle, the palette, I felt like every single shadow in here performed really, really well. I didn't have any issues with patchiness. Everything blended really well. Everything was really pigmented. There was a little bit of fallout with some of the darker shades, but very, very minimal, especially compared to some of the fallout issues I've been having with other palettes lately. It was refreshing. Like, this entire collection was actually pretty refreshing because I didn't really struggle with anything at all, which made it so much easier and more pleasant for me to film. And you know what? I needed that win right now, so thank you, Melt Cosmetics. For the record, I wanted to be clear with you guys. I know I said this earlier, but I want to say it again. I did purchase this myself. I did not receive this particular collection in PR, so in case you were wondering, bought it with my own money, still love it. The only negative thing I think that I could possibly find, like, and I'm looking and reaching for something that could possibly be a negative, is that maybe this is not the most unique color story as far as Melt's color stories are concerned. That's all I can think of. Overall, I think we have another big win from Melt here. They have been really, really killing it with their last bunch of collections, so I'm not surprised that I'm pleased with this one. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are you picking this one up? Do you have the Rust stack? Do you think that you would rather have this than the stack? Do you like the palette better? Whatever you think about these products, leave me a comment. I would love to know. Also, like I said in my last video, I know everybody is kind of like stressed out right now. There's a lot of crazy, crazy stuff going on in the world. I think we're all feeling it. So if you feel like just leaving me a comment, letting me know how you're doing, how you're holding up, I would be happy to hear it. Also, feel free to jump into my DMs and do the same thing. I'm doing my best to get back to everybody. I've been sending people pet pictures and they've been sending them back. It's been very therapeutic. If you want to take part in that, please feel free. If you want to come find me over on Instagram, I'm at Miss Quinface over there. I keep my stories updated a lot. We post other things that we don't necessarily do here on this channel, lots of polls and stuff, and I would love to have you be part of that little crew as well. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, because it's very helpful to me and I would really appreciate it. And also, if you're new around here, go ahead and subscribe, because if you don't, then you know what? Whatever, it's fine if you don't, but it's not. It is fine, but I would just prefer if you did, because I'd like to have you around. That is all for today. I hope you're all healthy and safe and comfy and in good spirits out there. I'll be back as soon as I can with another video, kind of keep the troops entertained out here, so I will see you in the next one.